Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Stranger Things Season 4, and we're going to talk about Eddie Munson, the brand new Dungeon Master. By the way, spoilers for all of Stranger Things in this content. Basically, yeah, so let's get going forward. I apologize, I got to do this. Just a little note, okay? So first of all, I don't think there are any D&D non-casuals on this channel. Everybody here is almost certainly a pretty serious Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master. I don't think anybody else is just listening to this channel. Like, I don't think there are players here. I think it's just nothing but very hardcore Dungeons and Dragons dungeon masters, right? If that's the case, 9 chances out of 10, you just like me. Charismatic, confident, and intelligent, right? Your levels might be higher or lower, but you there, right? And the reality is, if you're a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master, you on the winning side of life generally. Okay, at the macro level, right? Because you're almost certainly highly educated, or you have those other three aspects that I already talked about, right? And I just want to say, we're in a hard time right now. I think America is really feeling it. We have not been in a position this bad, certainly not in my lifetime. And frankly, the only things I can think of that were worse is like the Civil War. Like, this is one of the worst times in American history. It is harsh for a lot of reasons. So if you're a dungeon master, I really want to encourage you, please, you are on the winning side of life at the macro level. There might be a few of you that are exceptions, but I'm talking to the macro level of you, the 51% level. There are haves and have-nots, and you are more on the have side than the have-not. And right now, it's really critical that every dungeon master out there, that every single one of us is a dungeon master, we be a hero, a champion of politeness, a champion of good. It's time for us to, shift into paladin mode, right? Please be tolerant. Please be patient. Please be kind with the have-nots. I think all of America is being gentrified right now. Like, it's no longer cities or areas, like the entire country, all right? And it is sharp and dangerous out there for a lot of people. And so whenever you're, just like buying services or dealing with people who might not have as much as you, please be patient, be kind, be tolerant. If you're a person of faith, pray for these people. And it's just a hard world right now. And you're more likely than not on the have side and not on the have not. And I really think we need to be looking out for this world. Thanks for your patience. I'm going to keep going here. All right. Let's talk about Eddie Munson. All right. Eddie Munson. Oh my gosh. Okay. So first of all, Eddie Munson is something very unique. Okay. And first of all, like, what is the heavy metal? There's like Eddie from the heavy metal group, and he's like this corpse skeleton dude who Eddie Munson looks exactly like. I think he was from Iron Maiden, right? But like, Eddie Munson is like a well-painted figure, right? Really fascinating, incredible character in Stranger Things Season 4. Certainly my favorite new character, without a doubt, as Eddie Munson. Very, very interesting character. So what is Eddie Munson? Let's talk about this. He is 3 things. He's Netflix's vision of a dungeon master, and he is Wizards of the Coast's vision of a dungeon master as well. Not the only one, but okay? And I think this is really important to understand, okay? And in my humble opinion, he is. And here's why. Let me sell you the evidence, okay? So that it'll be your opinion too. So Eddie Munson is Wizards of the Coast's vision of a dungeon master. Not the template, but certainly one, right? And here's why. Stranger Things is not a normal show name-checking Dungeons and Dragons. I watched a show last year. It's called Southside. It's about cops and like people who live in Chicago, and it name-checked Dungeons and Dragons. I think at this point there's easily 100 shows 100 shows and movies that name-check Dungeons and Dragons. it's so voluminous at this point that the cultural list on Wikipedia isn't even exhaustive. Like, it doesn't even cover them all, right? Like, shows name check Dungeons & Dragons absolutely constantly, right? Because it's a culture, it's an American cultural, it's a cultural element of Americana, okay? And, but Stranger Things isn't just, like, Southside just, just name checked Dungeons & Dragons in the middle of their show. I could tell you right now, from what they said, they didn't call Wizards of the Coast up, right? There was no conversation, right? But there have been conversations between Netflix and Wizards of the Coast. This is an open relationship. They have chosen their dance partners, right? They have a shared product. This is not just some company. Netflix is not just some company mentioning Dungeons & Dragons, right? There is an open line of communication that exists right now between Wizards of the Coast and Netflix over this show, right? This is a guarded relationship. And get this, Wizards of the Coast and Netflix are both massively profiting from this incredibly beneficial symbiotic relationship, okay? So this is both Wizards, and here's the thing. You could tell when Wizards of the Coast gets upset with Stranger Things and says, hey, no, this ain't cool, when they stop selling the Stranger Things product, which they have not done. That is still very much available, okay? Or when they pull it from the shelves, or when they put a warning on it, right? Like, when they're not comfortable with something that's touched their product, they say it, right? So by their silence, I think they are showing that they are at this point, there are 50 different, clues that shows Wizards of the Coast co-signs all this, right? And so I think this is Wizards of the Coast's view of a Dungeon Master and Netflix's view of a Dungeon Master and the Duffer Brothers' view of a Dungeon Master, right? Now, they get nested under Netflix. They're Netflix creators, but they're provisioned by them, all right? So what is this view? What are some of the... I would love to tell you everything I think about Eddie Munson in this video. We ain't going to cover a fraction of it, right? But we're going to get into some of the bigger points, right? So what are the lessons from Eddie Munson when we look at Eddie Munson as a Dungeon Master on what is the view of... What is Wizards of the Coast view of a Dungeon Master? What is the Duffer Brothers view of the Dungeon Master? And what is the Netflix's view of the Dungeon Master? And things they all align on, right? So let's look at it. All right, so first of all, this is very true, right? Energy for the Dungeons & Dragons campaign comes first and foremost from the Dungeon Master, right? And I would love to tell you, oh, the energy on the table comes from the dungeon. No, they showed, right? They showed in episode 1 of season 4, right? Lucas has made it. He has arrived. He is popular. He is on the basketball team, right? And so Mike and Dustin are expected with Lucas at the Hellfire Club, right? But Lucas is trapped in his own little high school musical, and he's playing on the Hellfire Club, and he's playing on the basketball team, and he has to choose between, right? And he makes this choice. He forsakes Dungeons & Dragons, and he goes off with his horrible murdering jock friends, right? Like, and that gets proven later, right? Like, they are seeking to murder people, right? Like, the show isn't like, oh, who's the good guys and who's the bad guys? They're like, no, the jocks are all a bunch of murdering freaks, and like, and the actual peaceful, human-loving, humans are the D&D players. Like, there's not a like, oh, which one's evil and which one's good? It's like super clear, right? Like, yeah, which I kind of love. I absolutely love, right? That. So basically, and Lucas is shown to be wrong for making his choice. He should have never forsaken Dungeons & Dragons, right? Of course, Wizards of the Coast is comfortable with that, right? Like, with that showing, right? But so basically, and so Mike and Dustin go, hey, our friend's playing in this basketball game, can you postpone the game? And he's like, no, man, you make your choice. What is it? Is it Dungeons & Dragons, or is it the popular crowd? Make your choice. He is the Dungeon Master, and he is essentially saying, oh, you don't take this serious? Go kick rocks, man. I'll get somebody to replace you, right? And he's already got his table filled, right? And he's like, we can go get more, right? And, in fact, he says, not only are you going to be here, you're going to replace the person who came in and forsook the game. You're going to bring a sub. I will not brook non-attendance. You will be there, right? And get this, they play past 9 p.m. They play a long game, right? And Mike literally risks going to visit L. He is all in. He's like, DND is the most important thing in my life. And this all comes from Eddie Munson. He's like, you put DND first or you're gone. Go play with your scrub players. Go play with the casuals. This is a real table. This is a real campaign. And I will not hear of you prioritizing something other than Dungeons & Dragons over it. This is Netflix's view. This is the Duffer Brothers' view. This is Wizards of the Coast view, in my humble opinion, right? They are saying, yes, D&D first, man. Like they are showing you a picture, right? And they're saying the energy for the campaign comes from the Dungeon Master at the table, and they show that with Eddie Munson, right? He gets it. He's knocking miniatures down. He's rolling. He stands when he DMs, right? He has fire and verve and passion, right? He comes alive, right? This is the true Eddie Munson, right? This is him at his finest. He is a world breaker, a world maker, a world taker. He is a dungeon master. Netflix knows it, Duffer Brothers know it, and Wizards of the Coast knows it. And this is the picture they want you to see, right? When you see a dungeon master. The energy for the game comes from the dungeon master. And if your dungeon master isn't fully on, right? Isn't like, this takes priority, right? You will lose friends. You will make sure your friend knows that to play one session of this game, you will miss his championship game. You will prioritize this. This is number one, right? And Brooks absolutely no exception. And if you leave him, he will leave you behind, right? And the reality is, I think this is very realistic in that we're still having this same stupid decision today. Thank God I'm past it, right? Like, I made my decision when I was in high school. Actually, I wrestled. I was on the wrestling team, and I was on, and I, did dungeons. I was the dungeon master then, right? So I was able to do both, right? But Eddie Munson is like, if there's a choice, you choose this or you're gone, right? And I love that energy. And here's the other thing is, America is still making this choice today, right? And boy, you could tell the choice America has chosen. America has chosen sports. I grew up in the 80s, my sports days were in the 80s when I was in junior high and high school. And I played sports, right? Today, sports were nothing there compared to today. Today, if you play on a travel team, you're scrubbed because you're not getting individual professional training in junior high and high school, right? You could take everything that happened in the 80s for American sports for kids, like for junior high and high school, which is what we're talking about for the Hellfire Club range, right? Because Erica's junior high and all the rest of the kids are high school, right? And you could take all of them, right? You could take everything that was happening in the 80s for sports and times it by 2, times it by 3 today. That's the only question, right? It's way more important, way more focus on it. It's incredible, right? America has chosen sports over Dungeons & Dragons. Just like Lucas, it was the wrong choice, right? All these people are like, oh, my kid's going to be the next Shaquille O'Neal, or, they're going to get good team, building, blah, 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 right? But the reality is, we're no longer a physical laboring culture. We're a knowledge worker culture, right? D&D wins, sports lose. And it's the suckers bet who choose sports. And this message is all over Stranger Things season 4, right? They do not dilly-dally with the question. They're like, yeah, if you choose sports, you lose, right? Like, if you choose Dungeons & Dragons, you on the upside. You safe. You're going to get lots of literacy. You're going to get better at math. You're going to get friends who really will help you, not force you to do murders with them, right? It's like the vision of Dungeons and Dragons that comes through Eddie Munson in this season is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. So Eddie Munson is like the energy game for the game. The energy for your Dungeons and Dragons campaign comes at the table from the Dungeon Master and beyond the table, right? From the Dungeon Master. And I keep telling you this, right? Wizards of the Coast is signing, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, is fully signing on to that this is not a game. You sacrifice friends for this. They're saying it flat out. Just watch season 4 of Stranger Things. It's clear as day, right? Like, it's there, right? And this is the vision they want people to attach to Dungeons and Dragons, which I fully agree with. What do you think? That's my opinion. What's your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.